Nothing is ever lost, and we are not forgotten. We are living in the heart of God. Nothing is ever lost, and we are not forgotten. We are living in the heart of God. We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God. We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God.
Morning sun coming through the trees, the green leaves shimmer in the summer breeze, the songbirds singing to the honeybees, living in the heart of God.
We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God. We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God. After the dazzle of day is done, the moon makes love to the setting sun. The stars come twinkling to the honey one, living in the heart of God. We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God. We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God. We sleep in dreams both deep and bright, sailing through the velvet night, refreshing the soul to the spirit's delight, living in the heart of God. We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God. We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God. We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God. We are living, we are living, we are living in the heart of God. We are living in the heart of God. We are living in the heart of God. Nothing is ever lost, and we are not forgotten in the heart of God.
Maybe you guys can hear me now.
Yes, we can.
All right. Good morning. My name is Christine, and it's my pleasure to greet all of you. For those here in the sanctuary, as well as those watching from live stream, we welcome you and affirm that we are all one in spirit. Our guest speaker today is Meike Mittelstadt.
Yay!
She's been here before. We absolutely love her. Her morning message today is going to be transforming grief through breath.
Nice.
We'd like to give a special thanks to our musicians, Sandra, Chris, and Nikki. Beautiful music every time. And our media
Okay. All right, everyone's going to take it away. Hopefully you can join me in singing this song. If you'd like to, please stand. Very easy, and it's got 4 verses, all the same melody. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I've got joy more abundantly. I've got joy. Spirit flows as me. I've got the joy of God in everything I do. I've got joy more abundantly. I've got peace more abundantly. I've got peace. Spirit flows as me. I've got the peace of God in everything I do. I've got peace more abundantly. I've got strength more abundantly. I've got strength. Spirit flows as me. I've got the strength of God in everything I do. I've got strength more abundantly. I've got love more abundantly. I've got love. Spirit flows as me. I've got the love of God in everything I do. I've got love more abundantly. I've got love more abundantly.
Big finish.
I've got love more abundantly.
Yeah, give yourselves a hand.
Well, now we encourage all of you guys to stand and greet each other with handshakes, hugs, fist bumps. Go ahead and we will. Meet somebody new.
Here's my fist bumps.
You mean business?
Oh, your dress is cute. Thank you. Your little burst of spring. Well, nice to meet you again. I know you've platformed once, I think.
Yeah, and you kept telling me to put it closer to my face. It's like, what?
Yeah, sometimes you kind of like eat in, yeah.
Well, the more you do it, the more you'll
Get familiar.
get.
I'm glad you're doing it. What do you want, huh? Yeah. Oh, well, I oh. Oh no, it's one of those keys that sticks again. I am, but I'm only gone like till the following Tuesday. Oh, yeah, just 5 days.
Everybody's having so much fun meeting each other. All right, we are going to go over our unity peace statement. We'll say this together. Unity stands for peace in the presence of conflict, for love in the presence of hatred, for forgiveness in the presence of injury. Unity honors the many names for God, the many paths to God, and the many ways to worship God. For there is one power and presence of God, and that God loves each one of us equally. It is therefore the position of unity to urge all nations, their leaders, and their people to turn to God by whatever the name for guidance during these challenging times, and to pursue peace, not war. For this is what honors the God of all our faith traditions. Thank you. All right, and then we'll go over our spiritual nugget. In the midst of death, life persists. In the midst of untruth, truth persists. In the midst of darkness, light persists. And this one? Yeah. So now, Sandra.
Actually, Nikki is going to gift us with a song today. This is lovely. This was new to me. It's just a lovely piece. and you have the perfect voice for it. Thank you.
Sometimes when you're in the valleys, all of the burdens you carry alone. Oh, but I know when you need me, call, I'll be there, longing to prove how much I care. Peace, I'll give you peace when the wind blows on. Peace, whenever you call me, I'll give you peace when the wind blows on. Heartaches, whenever your heart aches, I want to be there to help see you through. When you're weary, you know you can find all the strength that you need. Find your rest and your hope in me. Peace, I'll give you peace when the wind blows on. Peace, whenever you call me, I'll give you peace when the storm blows on. No matter how long the night may last, I'll keep you safe till the storm is past. I'll give you peace when the wind blows on. Peace, whenever you call me, I'll give you peace when the wind blows on.
Yeah.
Well, good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Okay. There are all these notes, very confusing. Okay. So today I'm going to talk to you about something more heavy, grief. I've been going through grief myself on various levels, so I figured this would be something that would be of value to all of us. So grief generally in this society and in the West is described as physical death, right? Somebody dies, and then the people who are left behind may experience grief, the loss of someone. But what I've discovered is that grief is way broader than that. It may include the loss of an animal, for one, but it also may include the loss of a relationship, a sudden ending that you didn't want, Or it may even include the loss of an ideal that you had about yourself or someone else, or even the world. So all of these things can trigger us into the depth of our heart where grief resides. And so grief is an emotion where we feel lost, kind of powerless. It comes in waves, and it takes us to the deepest part of ourselves. It does take courage to go there. And of course, everyone in life goes through grief. It's inevitable. Because of the intensity of grief, some of us respond physically and emotionally with the automatic response of fight, flight, or freeze. This is understandable, but if we don't understand the value and blessing of grief, the experience of grief may create the opposite of life. We may actually die ourselves, or part of us may die. And it's the opposite of acceptance, right? It's the opposite of opening our heart deeper and wider. And all of our darkest or heaviest, most difficult emotions have the potential to open our heart. And as Rumi once remarked, our heart will be broken over and over and over again until we learn to keep it open. I'm paraphrasing him. He said it much more beautifully. So grief can lead to our emotional death, our choice to close our heart rather than being vulnerable. Rather than face grief, we may fight grief through resistance, creating the narrowing and shielding of our heart, really literally, energetically. In this state, we may get stuck permanently in grief, and you may have encountered people who are stuck in grief for years, maybe even decades, and they can't get out because they don't have the emotional capacity. Their heart, it requires heart capacity to transform grief. So you can access all kinds of books about grief, right? The 5 stages of grief are commonly described as denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and ultimately acceptance. These stages are never linear. They come in waves. Just like emotions, they come in waves. And the truth is that grief tends to be, in my experience, much more complex and cannot be reduced to these 5 emotional states whatsoever. So some of these other emotions may include anguish, shock, loss, anger, regret, anxiety, fear, loneliness, despair, hopelessness, and emotional and physical overwhelm. And these are just a few in my own journey that I have identified, right? So there are many more varieties in terms of the emotions that may arise. Sometimes external guidelines described to us, like the 5 stages of grief, may be helpful in the sense of giving us a direction, right? Kind of laying out this may be the general path. But I would urge you to explore your inner world and feelings instead, rather than following a prescription like a roadmap from the outside world in terms of what you will be experiencing. Why? Well, for one, you already have all the answers you need within yourself right now. Second, if you experience anything other than the 5 stages of grief, you may feel confused or even doubt your own experience, expressing emotions that arise within you because they simply have no place in the particular pathway given to you from someone else. This can not only lead to suppressing emotions you deem inappropriate, but it can add additional emotions that otherwise may not arise, such as distrust, fear, contempt, guilt, and others. I'm not saying that these more heavy emotions that I just named may not arise in the process of transforming grief to joy anyways, but any external depiction of what unique healing path you are on may obstruct rather than advance your own healing process. So in short, listen to your inner guidance rather than take the prescription of some kind of author who tells us this is what you're going to experience. And it also leads to a little bit lighter travel, because yes, you don't know exactly what it will look like, but you know that you can manage it from within. You know you have the capacity to do that. You kind of just have to surrender and lean in, which is not always easy to do. So the key to transforming emotions is to feel them. And from the perspective of grief, who would voluntarily sign up? You would like to go through grief? Would you like to sign up? I don't know of anybody. And that makes perfect sense because it's kind of a very difficult experience, right? And we go through grief multiple times during our lifetime, and every time the experience of grief is different because the loss of what is being lost that we've been attached to and feel very fond of is different. So the loss of a partner, the loss of a parent, the loss of a child, all of that, but also the loss of relationships. All this, we live in a cancel culture, right? People are constantly being canceled. Young people are being canceled. They oftentimes feel very isolated, so sometimes they are catapulted into this grieving cycle without them really consciously being aware of it. So how do we access this gift of grief? Because there is a gift underneath it. The gift is to expand our heart, right? To expand our heart more fully so we can embrace all of life, the light, the joy, the happiness, the ecstasy of life, and the heavier emotions, sadness, hopelessness, feeling lost, feeling lonely, feeling abandoned. So the key to this lies in the breath. Breath is life, breath is spirit, the very force that animates and sustains our physical experience on earth as a soul incarnate. The way we breathe or not breathe determines the way we live. This is a profound statement, so I'm going to repeat it again. The way we breathe or not breathe determines the way we live. Our breath determines our experience of life and consciousness. Breathing occurs unconsciously and consciously. Most of us are ill-aware or non-aware of our breath. Many of us don't breathe properly, meaning fully, with our full lung capacity. So most of us have like a 5-liter lung capacity, and we breathe with about half a liter, which is, 10%. And so when we learn to breathe fully and consciously, the two need to go hand in hand. Healing begins. The conscious breath manifests as a neurological shift in our physical body. It activates different nerves, muscles, and different parts of our brain. So the conscious and full breath opens a gateway between the conscious and subconscious mind. Most of our thinking and behavior patterns are driven not by our conscious mind, unfortunately, but by our subconscious mind. The subconscious mind holds all of our experiences, all our emotions, all the stories we invented about the meaning of life and how to best survive. Additionally, to top this off, the subconscious mind gives us access to the collective mind, where the subconscious mind, our own subconscious mind, is also the gateway to the collective mind. All the stories, all the emotions that have ever been felt by the entire humanity. So it's very rich, to say the least, and very deep, like the depth of the ocean. And it can get pretty dark. So we tend to not be aware of our subconscious mind. This is exemplified by how easily people are triggered. Have you noticed that? People are triggered really easily, and suddenly they, rather than respond to life, they react. They freeze, they fight, right? Or they flee. And this is a manifestation of their own powerlessness, actually, of their own helplessness, because it is a subconscious program that is running them. They are not in charge. They don't even know what's happening. It's an emotional response from the depth of their heart, right? They react. And some of us may even freeze, or like we feel nothing. We go numb, right? Or we exit. We can't handle it. We can't handle the intensity of whatever arises within us. So the conscious breath allows us to get to know ourselves in a deeper and more meaningful way. Once we learn about who we are as human beings, we can learn to embrace all emotions, including the darkest and heaviest ones. And as I told you before, I'm a perfect example of that. I used to be on antidepressants to avoid these really, really heavy emotions that paralyzed me. I couldn't even move at times. And you feel like you're falling into a black hole and there's nobody to catch you. It is really terrible. It's a terrible feeling. And so through heart rhythm meditation, I was able to get off antidepressants and now explore, right? My emotional capacity in the height has increased, as has my emotional capacity in the depth, because they're related. The deeper that you go, the higher you can rise. It's always, everything is dualistic in the universe. And you notice that some people have a very narrow emotional spectrum, right? They cannot go very low and they cannot go very high. And that's their experience of life. It's in that narrow spectrum, that narrow range of frequency. So it's more exciting to expand your frequency and to take in all of life. But again, that requires to increase your heart capacity, to take in the contradictions of life, right? We are contradictory human beings, and we have contradictory life experiences. And so our rational mind cannot make sense of it, but our heart can, and it can learn to hold all of these contradictions. As Plato, the ancient Greek philosopher, one of my favorites, because he was kind of an idealist about the just state, the ideal state. He said, do thine own work and know thyself. And this is indeed the foundational tenet of becoming fully human and fully divine. So my perspective is we are here to become fully human while also allowing our divine essence to shine through. And we can only do that by really knowing who we are in truth. In truth. So how we breathe affects our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual state. The breath is not just oxygen, nourishing our lungs and our physical body, but it's a stream of energy that connects the body, mind, heart, and soul. All of us possess body, mind, heart, and soul, but there are different combinations of these, and actual awareness of this combination, compounded and infused by breath, makes us unique. Just like there is no one, there's thousands of daisies, no one daisy exactly looks alike. Same with human beings. So breath is the connection between the immanent, which is us, we are immanent, and the transcendent part of our being, the field, the larger field, right? It connects us to the physical while allowing our spiritual essence to shine through if we allow it. It's about surrendering more than adding stuff onto us. So again, we can only manifest our divine potential through our physical body. That's another thing. Our body is not our enemy. Our body is the exemplification of our spirit incarnate. So we are supposed to love our body. We're supposed to honor it. We are supposed to happily live within it, ideally, right? And our body, when we exhibit physical pain, that is also a sign that something may be happening emotionally, right? We can have stuck emotions, and they can manifest as pain in our body. Because if you're an energy worker, you know that everything starts with energy, and once it is in the body, it's like at the next level. That doesn't mean you can't reverse it, that doesn't mean you can't transform it, but it is, already in the physical. So you need some additional tools, and we have great practitioners for that with wonderful modalities these days. So another important component in this journey of experiencing grief fully is that you need to have a certain level of self-esteem. Why? Because you need to be able to trust your own inner world, and you need to be able to trust your own worthiness. You need to be able to honor and respect yourself. Nathaniel Branden wrote a wonderful book. It's called The Psychology of High Self-Esteem. And he maintains that self-esteem is tied to self-respect, makes sense, kind of commonsensical, self-efficacy, and integrity, meaning congruency between beliefs, values, and ultimate action. Self-esteem is a wonderful manifestation of our human potential and an ideal to actually strive towards. It starts with self-respect, honoring ourselves wherever we are at, loving ourselves exactly how we are right now, including, and that's always the most difficult part, the stuff we don't like about ourselves. But it is useful to do some honest housekeeping, to do some honest housekeeping. So by learning to love and embrace ourselves, we can exhibit non-resistance to what exists within us, right? We move into this state of acceptance. And then we feel more deserving of true love, acceptance, happiness, and achievement. Have you noticed that many people don't feel they deserve love? It's useful to look at ourselves and ask ourselves, are we feeling worthy of love? And I had to discover recently myself, there are parts of me that doesn't feel worthy of love either. And then you can, go into psychoanalysis of why that is. Maybe it has to do with your childhood and all of this, which is interesting. But ultimately, you can just transform that by feeling and honestly saying, wow, I really don't feel worthy right now. And so just breathing into that feeling of unworthiness. So remember, the world is a reflection, the world we experience, the world we see, the world we tell stories about, is a reflection of our inner world. This is really important to recognize. Everything is a mirror to who you are. So if you are experiencing a lot of internal anger, the world will miraculously show up as angry. Have you noticed that? Sometimes we may wake up in a state of, oh my God, my life is shit, and oh, I don't want to go on, and the day seems to confirm that very thought, right? So this is very interesting, and my talk is not about the different mirrors of life, even though that is an also interesting topic, but it shows you that we have the power within to transform. And so while the world may not objectively change, we may not objectively halt the conflict in the Middle East or, recreate or harmony with certain relationships we have or don't have. There is the potential for that. But we always have to be willing to not be attached to the outcome. The process is to just really be honest about what is going on within, and then when something is happening without, to see, wow, okay, what is happening here? What is happening inside of me? What does this mean? So when something happens in your life that you don't like, look within and try to find the deeper meaning of it, of what is really happening for you. So the conscious, full, and rhythmic breath allows us to discover our subconscious programming and then identify beliefs and stories we invented that no longer serve us. So what happens when you practice, in my own journey again, heart rhythm meditation, certain beliefs will bubble up like buoys from the depths. And when they bubble up for a reason because you are ready to face them. So even if they feel yucky, whatever emotion may come up, it comes up because you're ready for it. Your heart will never show you anything you're not ready for. But again, it takes trust in yourself, right? Leaning into that, it takes courage. The human breath is actually analogous to the expansion and contraction of all life forms, including the stars and the universe writ large. This cosmic consciousness, the very movement of expansion and contraction, is mirrored in our inhalation. When we inhale, we expand. And then when we exhale, we contract. If a person experiences chronic depression or anxiety, for example, he or she is actually stuck in a cycle of contraction and negative self-evaluation. Contraction means going inward and evaluating oneself and our emotional experience with truth and courage. So there are times where you go within and there are times where you take action in the world, right? It's similar if you think about Jesus. Jesus was very active in the world, and then sometimes he went into the wilderness for 30 days and fought his own internal demons because he realized, oh, something is happening here. I need to get my house in order before I can face the world again. And I mean, terrible things happened to him, but even when he was on the cross, right, what did he say? Forgive them, for they don't know what they do. And that's the truth. Many people who harm other people, they do this not because they're psychopaths. There are a few of those too, in politics in particular. But anyways, most human beings do the best they can. They don't do it intentionally. They live this hell themselves. So when they do harm to others, it is an indication of how they are constantly harming themselves. Another good example is people with low self-esteem. What do? They constantly put other people down, talk negatively about them, so that they can elevate themselves in relationship to someone else. A few people come to mind in politics. We won't mention any names. But what I'm saying is that's the political game, right, that is played. And we all play that game. Sometimes we cite other people so we can make ourselves feel better. But that's really an invitation to look within. What is it that we seemingly lack, right? Because self-esteem is something that warrants no comparison, right? To honor yourself, to respect yourself, and then to be effective in the world with action, this congruency, right? Integrity. You make a promise, you keep it, you follow through. And even when you fall short, you just say, oh, I fell short. You don't make excuses. You just say, I messed up here. And you can fix it that way. But it takes that honesty, that authenticity with yourself to move forward. And we all fall short because we are human beings. We are works in progress, so to speak. So we can learn compassion for ourselves in the process. The practice of appreciating some things in our life we take for granted also can be a stepping stone to transforming these very heavy emotions, such as grief, to lighter and more enjoyable, right? To not get stuck down there, to find something to appreciate every morning, to find something to appreciate during the day and at night before you go to sleep. So our expansionary cycle, when we breathe in, is indicative of our actions and impact onto the outer world. Expansionary cycles manifest as the outer actions we take with courage, enthusiasm, convictions, and maybe even passion. It is useful to know when we are in what cycle. So, of course, we inhale and exhale multiple times a minute, right, unless we hold our breath. But there are cycles to our life as well. And so to take action when you really should be going within and self-reflecting at a time when it is not appropriate to your cycle will not only feel forced, but it lacks that inner harmony and congruence with your own inner being, and then you create things in the outer world that don't seemingly fit exactly the way you had envisioned. So when we are in a contractory cycle like grief, it is a time to reflect, to learn to be humble, to be in that space of not knowing, and just experience allowing these emotions that arise, these really heavy emotions, to just feel them fully. And you can breathe these emotions in and out. And when you feel them through the breath, you transform them. You have to feel them to transform energy. Energy is never lost. You cannot just discard it or send it off to the moon or something. It's still here. You just transform it. Through our inhalation, we experience the outer world. This world is literally infusing our lungs and then circulates through our body and mind. You can see that when you are in certain environments. Sometimes it's easier to take in the world, maybe nature, right? It's more peaceful and calm in general, unless you're out there in a wild storm, then it can also be quite exciting. But there's different environments where you breathe in, there's this disharmony, right? You can feel it, and you are then breathing it into your own being. And if you're not aware of that, you automatically move into the space of disharmony yourself, rather than being conscious, oh, this is something that I can breathe through. And when you breathe in and out of your heart consciously, you can actually affect that space that you are in, regardless of where it's at. So through the conscious inhalation, we open ourselves to take life in fully, and the energies and experiences that we deem good, as well as the ones that we deem not so good. So a full inhalation, you are willing to take in life in whatever form it may come. And that actually, when you are in that state, you say yes, and you breathe in fully, that generates courage and grace. It generates grace. It's kind of amazing, but it does. So grief is such a dark and heavy emotional state, and the conscious breath allows us to feel these emotions fully. And that's the key to transforming them, right? So our exhalation pertains to how we affect the outer world. The breath literally takes what is inside of us and moves it outward. When we have a powerful and complete exhalation, we tend to exhibit strong magnetism. People are drawn to us, strong magnetism. And our influence is palatable. We tend to also manifest greater accomplishments in our world, in our community, with love and compassion. Our exhalation takes us deep into the heart, and at the end of an exhalation, that is where we express the deepest of our emotion, at the end of an exhalation. So without a deep and full breath, it becomes more difficult, if not impossible, to access our deepest emotions. So there's another treasure when we delve into the depth of human emotions, right? Energies in motion. Because that's how we connect to others. Have you noticed that? We connect best to others when we suffer. There is a natural compassion we feel for others because we have been there. We know what that feels like. And we are naturally drawn to reach out and comfort that person in some way, shape, or form. Hazrat Inayat Khan, a Sufi mystic, said, "Do you know why some people have a full life and others seem to have a half life? They have a half breath." So a full breath always begins with a complete exhalation. You have to exhale fully first. Where we need to use our lower abdominal muscles, yes, we have to actually use our muscles. We can't just sit there. It really requires all parts of ourselves, body, mind, heart, and soul, which is tied to our heart, actually, the gateway to the soul. And so then we lift the diaphragm through our muscles, and then we extinguish all the stale air in our lungs. And that's perfect, because we don't want to carry the past into the future. Right? So we do the physical manifestation of this intention, where we breathe out fully, which will indicate energetically we're ready to take a new life, to be literally reborn. A breath can rebirth you when you fully exhale and then fully inhale. We become an empty vessel, completely unimpeded from what came before. The full breath is foundational to being fully present in the world and to ourselves, and engage with situations and people around us, exerting maximum influence internally first, and then, of course, externally, as within, so without. If our body is still, the breath should be slow and deep, usually to count pulse or heartbeat of 6 or 8. On the inhalation and exhalation to avoid hyperventilation. And so Heart Rhythm meditation teaches us to entrain the breath with a heartbeat. And by breathing fully, we can access the subconscious mind, we can learn to feel emotions fully, we have that capacity, and then also by equalizing the rhythmic breath, by equalizing the inhalation and exhalation, we are creating harmony and peace in our own being. It works, folks. I do this every day for a reason. Because I'm teaching political science, I have to stay centered. So why don't we practice this for a few minutes, if you humor me? So I'm giving you Heart Rhythm meditation on steroids right now. Usually this takes a few weeks to teach, but I know you are all up for the challenge, right? We got this, come on. All right, so you should sit ideally with your hips a little bit above your knees. My legs are a little too long, unfortunately, so I should ideally have a pillow, but this works too. because you want to breathe fully with your abdomen. Yeah? You want to breathe fully with your abdomen. You lift up your shoulders towards your ears. You move them back. Why? Because you want to expose your heart center. And you can place your hands on your upper legs, palms facing up or down, whatever feels comfortable in this moment. So you want to sit with your spine relatively straight. It's like an antenna linking you to the transcendent and the immanent, right? You become like a receiver for the universe. Yeah, you're sitting there like an antenna, ready to receive. And so if you can sit relatively straight, you can find that equilibrium. And if you have back problems, you can put pillows behind yourself and all of this. This also works if your spine isn't straight, but this is the optimal position, right? This is the optimal position if you can do it. So then I invite you to just close your eyes and notice your breath. Just notice it. No intervention at this point, just notice your breath flowing in and out of your being. On the inhalation, your lungs are expanded outward, and on the exhalation, your lungs contract. And just notice what it feels like to breathe consciously. Maybe you notice that it's harder for you to inhale, take life in, or it's harder for you to exhale, to give parts of yourself to the world without. Feel your feet on the ground. And on the next exhalation, I want you to consciously send the breath down your spine, down your legs, through your feet to the center of the earth. And then inhale from the center of the earth, through the soles of your feet. Just imagine, you can imagine the breath just flowing up. Or maybe some of you can even feel the energy of the earth, which is much slower than our own, right? The Schumann resonance is much slower. So the earth has seen it all, done it all, transforms it all. So you can breathe down, out on the exhalation to the earth, and then you inhale that much slower, peaceful, calming energy of the earth. We want to be fully in our bodies. That's why we're doing this. So now I want you to move into the full breath. So this requires a little bit of aerobic activity. We are expanding our lower abdominal region like a balloon. Don't worry, nobody is looking at you. You want to just really expand it outward like a balloon, and then on the exhalation, contract it back towards your spine, and really this time squeeze it a little bit extra. This is not a permanent thing, just right now, because we want to fully exhale. And then remember, we have emptied our lungs, we can fully inhale. So notice that your breath is slowing down. And really engage your lower abdominal region, contracting it towards your spine on the exhalation, and expanding it outward on the inhalation. And just notice how you feel. Consciously and fully breathing. How does that make you feel? 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 How does And now I'm adding one more layer where we move into the rhythmic breath, where we equalize our inhalation and exhalation. Because most of you probably can't feel your heartbeat, but if you can feel your pulse somewhere in your body, or you can simply count. To a count of 6 or 8 is optimal on the inhalation and exhalation, if you can do it. If that's too much for you, no reason to worry. There's nothing wrong with you whatsoever. You just lean in and you find your natural rhythm to a count of 5 or 4, whatever feels good. But you want to equalize the inhalation and exhalation while continuing to breathe fully, meaning engaging your lower abdominal region. And just like a dancer moves with music to the rhythm, attune yourself to your own natural physical biorhythm, whatever that is today. You are not in competition with anyone. This is about honoring yourself by finding that natural rhythm of breath, equalizing the inhalation and exhalation. So now you can imagine the breath being a stream of energy flowing in and out of your heart. You are taking in life fully, and then you're breathing out all that is within your being, fully and without resistance. And now I invite you to identify a heavier emotion. Some of us may be in grief right now, but if not, you can just invoke a memory, a recent memory of this week where you experienced a heavier emotion, including anger, fear, loss, sadness, hopelessness, feeling alone. And just with the use of that memory, invoke that emotion in you and fully breathe into it. Using the full and rhythmic breath, fully breathe into that heavier emotion. Honor it. Allow it to be in your own energy field and experience it consciously without resistance. Breathing rhythmically and fully, noticing how you experience whatever emotion you chose or whatever emotion presented itself to you. There's nothing wrong with feeling this emotion. It just wants to be acknowledged, honored as part of your experience. So just continue breathing fully and rhythmically, and I will read a beautiful poem that will take you deeper into your heart. So just breathe in this poem and the beauty and harmony it represents. Blessed be the longing that brought you here and quickens your soul with wonder. May you have the courage to listen to the voice of desire that disturbs you when you have settled for something safe. May you have the wisdom to enter generously into your own unease, to discover the new direction your longing wants you to take. May the forms of your belonging in love, creativity, and friendship be equal to the grandeur and the call of your soul. May the one you long for you. May your dreams gradually reveal the destination of your desire. May a secret providence guide your thought and nurture your feeling. May your mind inhabit your life with the sureness with which your body inhabits the world. May your heart never be haunted by ghost structures of old damage. May you come to accept your longing as divine urgency. May you know the urgency with which God longs for you. Amen. Thank you.
Well, as deep as we went, now we can go a little bit higher. 2, 3.
Up, up, up to a higher place. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul arising to a higher place. Up, up, up to a higher place. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul arising to a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul arising to a higher place. No more forward, no more backward, no more spinning around and around. far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul arising to a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul arising to a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul arising to a higher place. I feel my soul arising to a higher place.
And there you have it.
I'm very pleased to hear that song. I woke up singing that song this morning, so I don't know if I'm just in sync or hopeful, but I appreciate that it's here. And Micah, thank you so much from beginning all the way to the end. That meditation was so touching, and you know I'm a girl who wants to go deeper. I don't want to live in those little spaces. I want all of it. So thank you so much for what you gave us today. It was just wonderful.
Yeah.
We have some announcements. Now, okay, I know about this. This is you, and what you is this is the Youth of Unity, people who grew up in unity. This is a reunion. This is a reunion that is meant for you. This is happening on 4/28, and you can see it's being put on by Lindsay Treffry. And part of this announcement is they are looking for help. So if you are interested in volunteering to be a part of this, please get in touch with our Unity, our number here, and we will get you in touch with who you need to talk to about that. Also, what else have we got, Byron? That's it. Okay. An easy one today. All right. Well then, at this time, we will move into the sharing of our love offering. Sharing your gifts with intention creates an energetic flow through your mind and heart, creating more abundance, both for the recipient and the giver. As we pass the offering bags, I invite you to hold your intentions in your mind, and while that happens, we get to hear more from our wonderful musical team. Doug? You know, I got to tell you, Sandra, you do that such justice. I have become such a fan of that Lawrence Van Ruin. It is just amazing, and you make it so beautiful. Thank you. I invite you all to join me in the blessing of our offering. Together, divine love in, through, and as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you. And I also would like to invite you to place any prayer intentions into the box. And we will be praying over those with silent unity for the next 30 days. And if you don't know that prayer works, give this a shot. Because I tell you, prayer works. Doug, thank you so much. Let's invite our kids in.
You are walking in the light, in the light, in the light. You are walking in the light of God. In the light, 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 in the light of God.
Hi, Kendra. We give that to you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Today, we did our lesson on Native American spirituality, just learning a little bit about spirituality of Native peoples. And part of that is because Earth Day is coming up. And so we talked about how Native American spirituality is probably one of the ones that's the most close to the earth, connected to the earth. Does anyone want to show what we learned about today? Do you remember what that's called? A medicine wheel?
A medicine wheel?
So, yeah. And we learned the medicine wheel represents the 4 directions. And they're going to read, each of them is going to read about each direction. Are you going to start? What do you have? Who has north? The white one. Were you doing that one? Okay. Oh, no. You were doing north. Can you read the north? Do you want to do north? Because you wanted to do north. You guys were. I want to do north. They were arguing over who got to do north. Okay, just do it. 'Cause we're already over time.
Just do it.
Okay, I'll do north. So the first direction on the medicine wheel is north, and north is the color white. Can someone hold up the wheel while I'm doing it? And the that part of the wheel represents north. It represents white people. It represents the air, stars, midnight, winter, death, because in the winter, a lot of plants and stuff die, right? It represents the mind or your intellect. It represents animals and sweet grass. We haven't really got to what some of these things mean, so next week we'll talk about like sweet grass and sage and those things. Okay, who wants to do south? Is that you? No, you're doing east. Who is doing south?
Ebony, you doing south? No?
I'll do it for him.
Okay. Thank you.
South, water, red-skinned people, moon, noon, birth, summer.
Spiritual,
Soul, plant,
cedar,
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 like a cedar tree. So that we learned about how the red section is spirituality. So that's the section of the wheel that represents spirituality.
Are we doing the yellow one next?
Are you gonna do them or no? Go ahead and keep reading.
Are we doing the yellow one now?
You do yellow. Yeah, great job. East. Yellow is east.
East, fire. Yellow skin people, sun, dawn, growth, spring, elemental heart.
Emotional heart. Minerals
Minerals,
and tobacco.
tobacco.
And we'll get into what the sage and tobacco and sweetgrass mean later. And then you were going to do west. Will you do west? Oh my gosh. They all chicken out at the end. They agree to these things.
West, earth. Black skin people. That's loud. Dusk. It's dusk. Maturity. Autumn. Physical body. Human sage.
And we forgot to talk about the animals. Who remembers what north, that direction, what animal? Yes.
It's the white buffalo.
Can you say it loud?
The white buffalo. No.
The buffalo. White buffalo. Yeah. What's east?
Eagle.
How about south? South. What's south? You studied it in school, you said.
No, I didn't.
A coyote or a wolf.
Good job. And what is west?
Bear.
Bear for earth. Yes. Okay, it's a work in progress. We're going to learn how the different directions address the different parts of how it balances out, like your mind, your body, your spirit, what am I missing? Feelings, emotions. So we'll get to that next week.
All right. Thank you, Kendra. It's so cute because I happened to see this one sing karaoke in a full group of human beings, and I am stunned that you will not read that because you are amazing. Let's bless our kids. Blessing to our youth. Excellent. And accept you just the way you are. And I love you and accept you just the way you are. And kids, you are invited to bless us back. Ready? You and accepts you just the way you are. And I love you and accept you just the way you are. I behold the Christ you are. All right. All right, beautiful people. I encourage you to form a circle here. We may have to go beyond these chairs, so be aware of your numbers, where you are, so we can all hold hands. We'll go through our peace song.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family
right, we will move into our prayer for protection. Together, please. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God folds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful week. Remember, you are loved and you are loved.
I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that have